Welcome to this tutorial regarding the new online hire process for hiring student employees. During this tutorial, we will cover how to initiate the new hire packet, which will now include part 1 of the I-9 for your students, and how to proceed with hiring them using the online hire process. This tutorial is intended for any RIT faculty or staff who hire students. There is a step-by-step guide available on the student employment website with screenshots of the process to assist you, as well as an FAQ document to help troubleshoot any questions you may have. Let's get started. All student hires will begin on this page, studenthire.rit.edu. Please note that the current link to part 1 of the I-9 will no longer be accessible, and all students who require an I-9 must be initiated using this process. Once you reach this page, you will click Continue. You will enter the university ID number of the student you intend to hire and click Next. The system will automatically check to see if the student has an I-9 on file completed and is registered full-time. If the student does not have an I-9 completed, it will then take you to this page where it asks if you are the hiring supervisor for this student employee. If you are the hiring supervisor, you will click Yes and move forward. If you are not, you will click No, and the system will ask you to enter the name of the hiring supervisor. This happens on occasion when you're asked to hire someone for somebody other than yourself who will be reporting to someone else. You can also list yourself as the hiring supervisor, but then add an additional direct supervisor who will be immediately overseeing this student employee. For example, in our academic departments, when our student employees are hired through the main office, but maybe reporting to a faculty member and not directly to the staff assistants that are processing their hires. This field is an optional. You do not need to enter a direct supervisor if you don't want to. You can simply just click Submit and move forward. So at this time, this student has been identified as not having an I-9 complete, which means that the system is now going to initiate the I-9 process for the student. The student is going to receive 2 emails directly to their inbox, one with an invitation to their new hire packet, which will include their username, and a second email with their automatically generated password, which they will be required to change on their first login. The new hire packet will include all of the required documents that we should be presenting to all new hires, including direct deposit form, part 1 of the I-9, and all New York State compliance documents that students should be receiving when they're hired. When the student completes part 1 of the I-9 through this new hire packet, they will then receive an email indicating that they have completed their new hire packet and they now may schedule an appointment with the Student Employment Office to complete part 2 of the I-9. They will make their appointment through RIT Career Connect, attend their appointment, present their documents to complete part 2 of the I-9. Once that is complete, you as the hiring supervisor and any other direct supervisor that you indicated on the first page will receive an email that says, "Congratulations, your student has completed part 2 of the I-9 and is now eligible to be hired as a student employee." That email will link you back to this studenthire.rit.edu to now process the hire form for that student. So let's go back to the home page. And at this time, we are going to process a hire for a student. So we will click Continue. And we will now enter the university ID of a student who already works for RIT. So this would be a case where you are rehiring a student back into your account, or you're hiring the student that worked somewhere else on campus at some point and is now going to work for you. You put the university ID number in and click Next. And during this time, the system is checking to see, does this student have an I-9 on file? And is the student registered full-time? And if the system determines yes to both, it will take you to this page where it says, what type of student is this going to be? Now, as a note, at this time, we can only process the online hire for our regular student employees. It cannot be used for co-ops, graduate assistants, or graduate teaching assistants. So the system is going to ask you, will this student be a co-op, GA, or GTA? If yes, then the system is going to stop you and not allow you to move any further and tell you to please revert back to a paper hire form and submit that using the existing process. If you click no and click next, it is now going to take you to the hire page. So we are going to enter the student's job title. So this will simply be student worker. You do need to enter the hiring supervisor, whether that's you or someone that you're hiring for. You can either click the box and scroll through the long list, or you can type in the last name and the supervisor should pop in automatically. You will also need to enter the organization. Again, you can either scroll through the long list or begin typing the name of the office, and then it will take you closer to where you need to be. You will need to enter a start date. A new feature of this hire process is that you may now start using the actual start date of a student and no longer try and determine what the pay period start date is. However, that start date in this system must be a current or future date. This system is not to be used for past dated start dates. So if the student started prior to today when you're entering this information, you will need to submit a paper hire form to our office for processing. But if the student is starting today or a future date, you will go ahead and enter the exact date that the student is going to start working. And it is up to you as to whether you want to enter an end date or not. If you intend to keep this student on for as long as they will stay with you, then you can leave that end date open and terminate the student when the time comes. And then the expense account, you will put your department number in, and the system will automatically bring up all of the eligible department numbers available to you, account numbers, for you to hire that student into. So you will just click on the account number, enter the Career Connect number, and if you are hiring this student at the current New York State minimum wage, there's nothing further you need to do except hit submit. This student will then be generated as an employee in your department number under that account that you've entered with an effective start date of today's date, September 14th. And they will appear in your Kronos if there are no issues and no reviews that need to be done within 1 business day. If the student is flagged for any reason and our office needs to review the submission, it could take up to 3 business days for that hire to be processed and that student to show up in your Kronos list. But if there are no errors, no issues, then the student should show in your Kronos list by tomorrow. If you intend to hire the student at a higher rate than the current New York State minimum wage, you would click this box. Clicking this box is the same as having an advanced level job description, which is the current process that you have to submit with the hire form for any student being hired at a higher rate. You will click this box and click Next. And this is going to now take you to a page that looks very similar to the advanced level job description that you are currently submitting as a hard copy. You will mark whatever justification you have for paying the student a higher wage, whether it is written into the grant that you're hiring the student on, or the student requires specific certifications or licenses, etc. And then you will enter what the hourly rate should be. So again, if you're paying New York State minimum wage, you do not need to fill out this document, this page. You can just click submit and be done. If you are paying higher, you would click the box that says advanced rate. You would come to this page, enter the wage rate, click all that apply, and click submit. Just a note that anything that does pay higher than New York State minimum wage does route to our office for review and approval. So these could take up to 3 business days to be approved and appear on your Kronos list. And you have just successfully hired a student into the system. You will watch your Kronos to ensure that they do show up. And once they show up, you can provide the student their badge number. As a reminder, the link previously used for the I-9 will no longer be valid, and students will automatically be redirected to their hiring department to initiate the process. The step-by-step guide with screenshots available on our website, as well as the FAQ document to help answer questions, which will be updated as additional questions are submitted to our office. As you begin using the new online hire process, if you have questions at any time, please feel free to reach out to our office at studentemployment@rit.edu. Thank you.